Patch notes day, yes. Yeah, the Viktor relic is incredible. It's probably one of the most versatile relics we have seen. Yeah, should be really good. Yeah, the Viktor relic is so good. Have you listened to the new, not even sure what that word is, album? No, I've not. Honestly, I don't listen to that much music, and when I do, it's normally not new music. Think we're getting voiceovers and more followers? I mean, not yet. In the future, yeah. All right, let's try to make this a bit bigger. And I guess let's increase the size here. There we go. Oh, too much. Too much. All right, that looks better. Oh yeah, there's so many people that the relic is really good on. There's a ton. We will look at that later. No, the patch notes are not out yet. That should be out later today. So we're going to go over all the stuff that got revealed. So Viktor, his relic, talk about all the people it's good on, talk about what builds we think are going to be good for Viktor. And then we'll be going over the patch notes. But to be honest, I don't think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's probably just, hey, Viktor's coming, and then we're adding more rewards to some of the adventures. Still nothing in the files, but we'll post any leaks on subreddit once I receive leaks. Sounds good. Yeah, I was looking earlier today and didn't see anything. Yeah, if I streamed like 5 hours, could have seen the reveal live. Yeah, it dropped quite a bit later. All right, let's go over Viktor and his star powers. So right here, we have Technological Leap. Allies with Augment have 1/1, so just flat out extra stats. It's okay. March of the Machines, +1 starting mana when you summon a created unit, granted Augment. Now, this is going to be very nice, because the Augment, it does give you scaling if you play a created card. But this is going to be great for Viktor. He's really going to like any of the modifiers that are obviously able to create units. So anything that's creating a unit at the start of the round, anything that's creating units at game start, any of those is going to be very, very good for Viktor. Also, anything just... he really is going to be the created card champion. There's some other champions like Echo and Aurelian Soul that have some synergy, but Viktor is just all about created cards. But this will actually be pretty strong. Technological Leap, rank 2. Allies with Augment have that 1/1, and now your Augments grant an additional 1 health. Someone in chat was talking about this yesterday, so if you're here, kudos to whoever said that. So your Augment already gives you 1 power, but now it's also giving you 1 health. Just every time you're playing a created card, it's now buffing up all your Augment units by 1/1, which is pretty good. Now for the 4-star, we didn't get Evolution, which could have been fun, but this should be fun as well. When you play a spell, deal 1 to the enemy nexus. Obviously, this will be great for Viktor, since he's going to be generating spells every single round, and it could be really good with like the 6-star. 5-star, game start, get an extra mana gem. And then the 6-star, really simple, straightforward, but should be very, very strong. When you play a created card, well, create spell or unit, copy it. So technically, if you're trying to play like a created landmark, or that might kind of be the only thing, I guess, a created equipment. So some of those effects won't be doubled, but you normally don't want those to be doubled anyways. But when you play any created spell or unit, copy it. This is going to do a couple things for you. For one, it's going to make your spell burn go off twice, so that's going to be good. But this should trigger your Augment twice as well. So all of your units, when you play a created spell or unit, should also be getting 2/2 as far as stats. And yeah, Echoing Spirit, that's immediately what I thought as well. Echoing Spirit means when you play Viktor, if it was created by Echoing Spirit, you're now going to get 2 Viktors on your board. Both of them should be able to generate his Hex Core, so then you have even more created cards that will just be going off multiple times. So you could actually spam a whole bunch of spells and do tons of damage with this spell burn. This is a very simple, straightforward 6-star, but this is going to be very, very good. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I plan on getting this 6-star. We'll see if I'll be able to earn it in game. If not, then I'll probably just have to buy it. But I think this is going to be very solid. It's just a permanent mirror mage. Yes. Patch notes out today in an hour or two. Yes. Yeah, this is really nice. I like there's not any limitations. It's not like the first created card or the first couple created cards you playing around. It's just anytime you're playing a created spell or unit, copy it. Now, this is a play effect, not a summon effect. So things that are summoning units at the start of the round, those aren't going to be doubled, but that's fine. This is already going to be crazy enough. And it is going to synergize really well with all your other powers and your champion relic. Yeah, it's another P&Z champ, but we knew that Viktor was coming. I am excited, though, for us to be done with the arcane update so we can finally get other regions. His relic is super, super good. Let's take a look at his starting deck and kind of... We don't know what items are going to be on these, but let's try to just think of them in regards to his powers. So Forge Chief, 1 cost, strike, refill, 1 spell mana. This is overall fine. Doesn't really have any crazy synergies, like this doesn't have augment or anything like that, so it's okay. We have Ballistic Bot. This will be really nice. For one, this has augment, so it's already getting immediate stats, and then when you're playing more created cards, this can keep scaling up. Also, for some of these, they might just give it the augment relic. But this is also creating an ignition in hand. That's going to count as a created card. It's going to do damage to the enemy nexus. If you have your 4-star, it's doing more damage. So this Ballistic Bot is going to be great for you. Clump of Whumps, when I'm summoned, create a Mushroom Cloud in hand. So that's giving you create a card to help trigger your augment. So in that regard, it's good. Iterative Improvement, pick a follower, create a copy of it in hand with 1/1. So since you're making a created card, it's going to get that augment. So it's already getting 1/1 from this. It's going to get an additional 1/1 from your star powers. And then you can further scale that up, and it's going to count as a created unit. So if you have the 6-star, whatever you pick, you're going to get 2 of them. This is going to be really good for you. Over here, Boom Baboon. Again, this doesn't have augment baseline. Who knows, that could change. But when I'm summoned creative flame chompers, that's going to be another unit for you to play. Since it's a unit that's going to be created, it's going to get that augment, so it's going to be a pretty big challenger unit, so that's pretty good. Aftershock, deal 3 to a unit or destroy a landmark. Good removal, good flexibility to also be able to get some landmark removal. That's really nice. We have the Neon Droid. So an elusive with that augment. So this is going to be pretty big baseline. Wouldn't be surprised if this also got like a phage or something on it. And then also this is going to be able to scale up. And then Mechanized Mimic. It is a 5 cost, but that's not terrible. There's some decks that have like 8 costs in them. So your most expensive card being a 5 cost isn't bad. Augment, attack, grant me all keywords on allies. So overall, pretty good starting deck, and we don't even know what items there are going to be on here, but overall it has pretty good synergies for your star powers. Hey, Torcat. So overall, Viktor is looking great. Let's look at his relic. So this is the perfect hex core power. So this is just always happening, even if your champion's not on the board. Round start, create a hex core upgrade in hand. Your hex core upgrade have stopwatch and can upgrade any ally. So you can target any unit, and to be able to play this to get a keyword, this is going to be very, very good on a ton of people, because this is helping so many. For one, this is a created card, so it's good for Viktor. It's good for Aurelian Soul, counts as a created card. Also, this is happening every round, unlike the Spellweaver Symphony, which is only when you have the attack token. Just every round, you are getting a created card that's able to give your units a keyword. So this is also going to be great for Kaisa, but this also is going to be good for everyone that just likes targeting. So people that have targeting in their star powers, especially their 4th star power. So this can be good for like Lux Illuminated, that when you target an ally, you give them Spirited Impact. This can be good for people that have Phalanx, so like Mbessa or Yuumi. You target them, you give them a keyword and barrier. Also, Yuumi has her Fated. So just another free way to trigger Fated. This is... I think these Hex Cores are fleeting, so it's also going to be good for Neela, as it's a fleeting card that you'll be able to play, or just not play it, let it get discarded, and then this can be generating more fleeting cards for you. This is one of the most versatile relics in the game. This is going to be very, very good for a ton of people. Like, if we go through and look in game, it's going to be great for Kai'Sa because you're going to be able to get some more keywords, help you trigger your evolve. That'll be excellent. Let's see, going to be great for Yuumi. This is going to work for her Fated, her 3-star. It's also going to be great for triggering your 4-star to give you unit barrier when you target them. Same thing for Mbessa, being able to target your unit, give it barrier. Fantastic. Who else do we have? For most of these, they don't care. Lux Illuminated, her 3-star. When you target a unit, give it Spirited Impact, so it's going to be great for her as well. Aurelian Soul, it's going to be a created card, so that's going to work with his 3-star of when you play a created card, reduce the cost of all allies. Also, it should be getting an upgrade from Aurelian Soul's 2-star. Really, really good for him. For Diana even, you could use it to trigger your Nightfall reliably, so really good right there. Elise can use it. You can put it on your champion. When you attack, all your Spiderlings get that buff, so also very good right there. Doesn't really matter for Janna because it's not really cost reduced. It's a 0 cost. Yeah, it can be good for Lee Sin. Lee Sin, it can be good for being able to help trigger your flow effect. Also, it can be good for anyone that has Chosen by the Stars because it's going to trigger your Fated and Augment. So you can always use this on anyone with Chosen, and you're just getting a free card to further help them scale constantly. So really, it can be good on like everyone. Nami, it's a free spell if you want it. Again, Neela, I think it's fleeting, so it will work there. Poro King, if you're struggling to be able to get his keywords activated, it can be good for him. Thresh even, he has a lot of keyword synergy as well, so it'll be fine there. For Varus, it's a single target spell, so it's going to be doubled. It's going to be one of the most one of the most versatile relics in the whole game. Like, yeah, like Samira, it can be another free card for you to play for her to try to trigger her level up. This is just going to be incredibly versatile. And yeah, just pairing it with Chosen on like any champion, you can trigger that Fated and Augment every single round reliably with this. So your unit is scaling up, and then also they're able to get a keyword every round as well. This is going to be an insanely good relic. What are chances he gets Elixir of Sorcery for Hex Core in his Constellation? I kind of doubt it. I think he'd maybe get like one of the Hex Tech Fabricators, so that when he plays it, he gets a random item. I think since he can already double it from his 6-star, I think adding another way to double it would kind of be overkill. Can we get Scout from this spell? I'm not sure the pool of keywords that this pulls from, but I think so. I think we can still get like the OP ones like Scout and Double Attack. No? Okay, I'm not sure the pool that it pulls from. Lee Sin was waiting for this moment, a relic that creates a 0-cost spell every turn. Yes, this will definitely help Lee Sin a bunch. But I mean, it's good on almost, like, everyone's going to be really good with this. Viktor looks like a good A tier. I mean, with his 6-star, I think he can be very, very strong. Scout Double Attack is out of the pool for Viktor. Okay. Thank you for that, because yeah, that wasn't one that I was aware of. But if we just look at some builds for Viktor, so for one, his 4-star means every time you play a spell, you're getting your plunder off. Meaning you can really run the plunder relics on Viktor. Like Packed Powder can be great because you can reliably trigger this every single round. Since he's a 4-cost, you have him at 4 stars, you play any of your spells, including if you have his relic, you just play his spell, and it immediately triggers your Packed Powder, so you can play him for 2 less. I mean, you could even stack this and the Scourge of Stash to play him for free. So this can give you even more scaling. So this is one that can be pretty good if you want to turn 1 Viktor build. So that's going to be really, really nice. You'll be able to go for Chosen. I don't know if he's going to get Augment. Does he have Augment already? I think he does, right? I think he already has Augment, but he doesn't have the Fated. So if you want further ways to scale him up and just get all the possible keywords, you could go for Chosen. I don't think it's going to be like his best build, but if you want to use this, you can give you some if you want all these keywords, but it's not going to be quite as needed. Echoing is going to be really good. Create 7 copies of me in your deck. Champion spells cost 1 less. We'll have to see if they throw any items on your champion spell at all, because it does damage, shuffles more copies into your deck, or like in the top 3 cards, the upgraded version. But if you have his 6-star, when you play this, you're getting 2 copies of Viktor. What's his champ spell? We'll pull it up here. It's going to be interesting. It could be a little rough. So yeah, Viktor, he does have that augment, but his champion spell is the Death Ray. You play this, it shuffles another copy of Viktor in your deck, but then it creates the version 2 in the top 3 cards. So the one kind of bad thing about this, that means you're drawing this instead of drawing some of your other cards. So you want to get some extra draw with your Viktor, otherwise you might just get in a situation where all you're playing is your Death Rays. But the fact that all of these are going to be created means they're going to go off twice, and they're going to be able to hit the enemy Nexus. Hope his champion spell gets an item because it's really weak. Yeah, it definitely has some drawbacks to it, so hopefully they do something. But this can give you a lot of removal, and the fact that these will go off twice is going to be really good once you have the 6-star. So yeah, this is his champion spell. So Echoing Spirit could be a little bit of a mixed bag, because you might end up where all you're drawing is his Death Rays every round, which could be an issue, because it's not that great of a spell. But being able to drop double Victors, because I believe both of them are going to make their Hex Core upgrades, and then you'll potentially get a third one from his Champion Relic. So you might be getting 3 Hex Core upgrades around, and all of those are going to be doubled because of your 6-star, meaning you're doing 6 of these upgrades essentially going off every single round. So you're doing 6 damage to the enemy Nexus just baseline for free because you're having all these Victors, and these are all triggering obviously augment, so they're scaling up all your units by 6/6 every round. And yeah, they're going to be burst speed as well, so going to be very good. Hey Sparveg, Viktor will be so fast to level in Path of Champions is going to be fun. Yeah, and that's the thing with his created cards. If you're running his relic, it's going to be very easy to level him up because you're just getting a free created card every single round. Also, if you have him at 6 stars, you play that once, you get 2 credit for it. It's going to be pretty crazy. Viktor looks like he's going to be very good. Could Viktor 6-star be stronger than Jinx 6-star? Possibly. I think there's going to be a lot of broken things you can do with the 6-star for Viktor. Like, if this is working the way I think it will, if you run Echoing Spirit, you can then get double Viktor when you play him. So that's going to be crazy. Both Victors are creating Hex Cores every single round, and you also have his champion spell that's also creating one. So that's just giving you absolutely ridiculous amounts of scaling and damage for all your units. It's going to be pretty good. So yeah, some possible builds for this is you could go for like Echoing, his Relic, and then maybe Packed Powder, just so that you play a spell. You can play his spell for free. You get your plunder damage off from your Spell Slinger, your 4-star. So you play Viktor turn 1, he's scaling up every round, and now you have double Viktor on the board, and just round 1, 2 Viktors. They're playing tons of spells every single round, scaling up all your units. So I think this will be a potential build, these two plus his Relic. Yeah, so I think Viktor is going to be pretty great. One thing actually we can also consider is if you go for... Where is it? If you go for Portal Pals, I think I keep scrolling over it. Well, Oath of the Guardians or Portal Pals, these are creating units. When I'm summoned, create 2 random 7+ cost units from your regions, reduce their cost by my base cost. So these are going to be reduced down by 4 from Viktor's base cost, but when he's leveled, since it's a created card, it's also going to be less. So you'll be able to use this to have cheaper units, and when you play them, you're going to go off twice because of your 6-star. Oath of the Guardians, you're shuffling these champions, you're creating them, doubling their stats, and then when you drop them, they'll again be able to, for one, be cost reduced because they're created. So when Viktor's level, he'll reduce them down. But then also you'll get 2 of them. Yeah, him will be another one that you'll be able to use. Here we go. When someone create a redoubled Valor in hand, it costs 3. So this will be another created card that you'll be able to play, trigger all of your augments, but then also, since it's a created card, this will go off twice as well. So that's another thing that you can do. Viktor can be the champ that gets the legendary power that adds a lot of champs to your deck. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of interesting builds for him, and it should be pretty fun. Also, one thing that I just kind of thought of as well, chase guns. When I'm summoned, create 2 warning shots in hand. These are going to be doing 1 damage from your 4-star, and then they're also going to be doing damage from the skill itself. If you have the 6-star, it's going to go off twice, and these are also going to count as created cards, so super easy way to level him, and also do a decent amount of damage, as well as scale up again all of your units that have augment, which is probably going to be most of your units. So chase guns will also be a solid rare relic option. Chemtech duplicator, a little bit slow, but that can be good as well. They might add new item. This card is a created card. Possibly, but I think the biggest thing is just adding the item to Viktor where his units have augment. Yeah, Spellweavers will be kind of a worse version of his relic because it's only every other round. Because it's just when you gain the attack token, create a random spell that costs 2 from your regions. But this will be a created card that you can play, and this will be able to go off twice if you have them at 6 stars, further scaling up all your units with that augment, dealing damage to the enemy nexus from your Spellweavers. And yeah, should be overall pretty decent. Isn't there power that makes all units augment? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Don't think there's actual power that does that. Hey, Rivi. We got stuff yesterday, but it was after we were streaming because they dropped it way later than they normally do. But, I mean, they were probably just working on finishing up the reveal. Gotta be honest, a little bit more hyped for his relic, but Viktor looks really fun and strong. Yes. So, Viktor looks really good, and his relic looks fantastic. I think this is going to be one of the most versatile epic relics in the entire game. And yeah, we don't know anything about his constellation yet, so we don't know what upgrades he's going to have. I wouldn't be surprised if it was fairly similar to Heimerdinger, where your support champions have tech evolution, augment, and becomes tech. I'm going to think we're going to see this a bunch, just like we do here. Follows you require adventure that cost 3 or more, have tech evolution. Concologist, tech evolution. So I think we're probably going to see this on a couple of the cards that Viktor doesn't already have. And potentially it might be the same here as like follows you acquire. There might be some caveat of like cost more or less than this. But having this augment is very good for you. So that'll be probably something we see. We might see this exact same upgrade right here. Support champs have tech evolution. We could also see your support champs have portal pals, because we already talked about how portal pals will be pretty good. So that'll be possible. It is going to be interesting how both Heimerdinger and Viktor are all about their augment, but kind of in a different way. I hope his Star of Discovery have synergies with his 4-star and something about Spellburn deck. I mean, it will be a very good Spellburn deck, especially if we have his 6-star. Probably Tech Evolution or Attune. Yeah, they could do some Attune as well. I do like for Viktor how kind of versatile his powers are going to be, because it's all about created cards, and there's a lot of created cards in Path of Champions. There's a lot of powers that give you created cards. There's a lot of effects like Manifests, Invokes, the Emperor's deck. There's a lot of created cards in Path of Champions. So Viktor's going to be very good for that. It's going to be incredibly easy to level him. His 6-star is going to go super hard, because just think about anything you invoke, anything you manifest, anything from the Emperor's deck. All of those are just going to be doubled, and a lot of those cards can be very strong. So that's going to be crazy. But then, as you're playing all these created cards, you're triggering all of your augments, scaling up your units. It's going to be pretty big. Duplicate by default on Viktor at 6 stars? Yes. Maybe Viktor has some followers that you find that create a fleeting copy in hand. That's possible. That would be another good one. Like, there's so many powers that, like, powers, items, effects that give you created cards, which you're just going to be looking for even more as Viktor. But even when you play the game normally, you're picking those up fairly often. So I think Viktor is going to be very, very good. I think his star powers are simple and straightforward, but there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff you can do with this. Viktor the Printer Herald, yeah. That's another thing that you'll be able to do if you want. That is another epic relic, or not epic relic. That's another relic you can go for, being the Condenser. Create a 1-cost 1/1 copy of my supported ally in hand. You'll be able to use this on Viktor, drop a card for free, and then it's going to count as a created card, so it's immediately going to get that extra 1/1. It's going to have that augment, and just going to get all those benefits of it. And it will go off twice if you have a 6-star. So Condenser will also be something that, while not super strong, not like this is going to be the best pick, this is going to be something that's really good for you. Yeah, Evelyn's Relic would have some synergy. And yeah, any of the husks that you make, so if you go for like Succubus Brand, that husk is going to be a created unit. So it is also going to be able to get that augment, the extra stats from the augment, and then when you consume it, you're going to get all of those extra stats and the augment as well. So you can work for Succubus Brand, and you can also work for the Siren's Call, create an Evelyn in hand. So that's another interesting build you'll be able to go for. Spectral Scissors, the follower that it creates, that should count as augment. That unit should be bigger slightly as well. So that's going to be really good. So yeah, this creates a homecoming, but that probably won't really be worth it. Yeah, there is some synergy with the 2 deaths from below, but after playing with this on a non-pike deck, I kind of hate it because you just almost never draw the deaths from below, so it's not really that useful. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty good. Victor level 2 reduces 1 mana from created cards. Do 2 Victors reduce 2 mana? I believe if you have 2 Victors on the board, yes, they would do that. Also, if you have 2 Victors, they also reduce down your champion spell. So, your champion spell, if you had the double Victors, would also just be free, pretty much. Because it's going to be a created card from Echoing, and then the Echoing is also reducing it down. Yeah, Black Shield will be good like it is on everyone. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of very good builds for you. Is there any other created ones we haven't thought about? I mean, this is just going to be a worse version of Oath. And yeah, these two... I mean, I guess there's technically the Loose Cannon's Payload if you wanted to get a whole bunch of removal spells, and their count is created. I don't know if that would really be the best for you, but it is something that would have a bit of synergy. Yeah, I think Victor is going to be very, very good. Could be good for support champ spells. It does work for that, yes. So if you did have a support champion, you had a lot of copies of them, where you gain their champion spell, it does reduce those down as well. Yeah, the Grand General's Counterplan and Echoing are going to kind of run into the same issue of Victor's champion spell, and having that just like fill the top of your deck with copies of his champion spell. So unless you had a lot of extra draw, it probably wouldn't be the best, because then you wouldn't draw any other cards other than his champion spell. So yeah, Victor is looking very, very good. And I think when we actually start playing him, like, I think there's probably some people that are underestimating his 6-star because they just don't realize how many created cards are in Path of Champions. Like, even if you don't do a build around it at all, it kind of doesn't matter, because there's just so much that you naturally pick up. It's going to be pretty good. And yeah, his champion spell is going to be one of the most versatile ones in the entire game. Now, the good thing is it's strong and it's going to be helpful, but I don't think, while it's versatile and good on like almost everyone, I don't think if you don't have this, you're necessarily going to suffer too much. Like, it's definitely one that if you're wanting to pick up a versatile relic, yes, this would be great to buy. But I think having just like +1 starting mana for like Starforged is still probably a little bit more boring and stronger for pretty much anyone that can go Titanic. Whereas this will be something that it's fun that you can use on a whole bunch of champions. But I think their best build without this won't be necessarily too far behind, or even worse than running Perfect Core. Yeah, things will be good, but I don't think it's like, oh, you have to get this, otherwise you're just not going to be able to do the best with your champions. I wish Victor could get draw on one or all of the created spells from champ spell. Yeah, having some extra draw would be really nice. And they have done that before, I think. So if we grab Evelyn. Yeah, in her starting deck, she does not have her champion spell at all. Her champion spell, Last Caress, not in her starting deck. But in the Constellation, they still gave a upgrade for your Last Caress. So they can give you upgrades for cards that aren't technically in your starting deck. So they could put an upgrade on Victor's spells that would be able to help you. And I think they did the same thing with Nami, where I don't think her champion spell is it in her deck. No. So her champion spell also, the Ebb, not in your starting deck, but I guess it's actually in your champion level ups. That they made them all burst speed. Yeah, Ebb and Ebb and Flow, they all have that stopwatch, so they're all burst. So there's a couple different ways they could put this in there. Now, they do already have the upgrade making your Hex Core, making that burst speed in your champion level ups, but they could add like some draw or something like that onto his champion spell as well. I love the fact they put burst speed on Hex Core in both his champion level and the relics. You can use the relic without Victor and Victor without relic. Yeah, it will be pretty nice. The amount of normal creating that happens in runs lets you have Victor's support without focusing on him too hard. But now we're going to get him with a whole Constellation and starting deck, which will supercharge his him and his playstyle. Aesol basically gets a new Biss with this, and it's crazy. Yes, this is going to be really good for Aurelion Sol, because one thing you would like to do with him before is you would often want to run the Spellweavers, and now you can either run Spellweavers with that relic, or you just replace Spellweavers for a better version of it to give you a created card every single round. So Aurelion Sol is really going to love it. And I think for some other people, it's going to be a interesting choice and something to consider. But I think for a lot of people, it's not just like flat out the best option. So that is the Victor Relic power. So always happening regardless of if your champion's on the board. Round start, create a Hex Core upgrade in hand. Your Hex Core upgrades have stopwatch, so they're burst speed, and they can upgrade any ally. So you can target any of your units with this. It doesn't have to be a Victor. It will give them that keyword. It's going to count as targeting. I believe the Hex Cores are also fleeting, so it's going to have some synergy there with like Anila. And it's just going to be really, really good. It's also a created card, so it's going to work for like Aurelion Sol, then obviously Victor. This is going to be incredibly good. But if you're Victor and you're not using this, you still have it so your Hex Cores will have stopwatch. So his will always be burst speed once you hit level 4. But if you're not playing Victor, they can still be burst speed, which is pretty nice. Yeah, this is going to bump up a lot of champions. This is going to help a lot of people play better. Like, we'll go over it again since I think probably a lot of people weren't here originally. But this is going to be good for Kaisa, even regardless of with her 6-star or not. Without her 6-star, though, you could replace potentially Gale Force or Dreams of Yordles and throw this on. You can use the Hex Core first, give that unit another keyword. Then you can use your 6-star, your second skin, to be able to lock in that keyword for all future units. So for Kaisa, it's going to be a interesting choice for you to utilize. For ones like Samira, this is going to count towards your level up condition of playing more cards in a specific round, so it'll be decent right there. It's also going to work with your 3-star of playing 3, or your 2-star playing 3 cards every round, so it'll be good for that one right there. It's also going to be good for Yumi. This is going to be good for 2 reasons. For one, all your units have faded, and their faded gets an additional 1/1, so that's going to be great. But you also have your 4-star when you target an ally, give it barrier. So you're not only scaling up your unit, you're also giving them a keyword, and you're giving them barrier. So it's going to be really, really good for Yumi. Probably one of her best options, if not actually her best option. It's going to be good for Mbessa because she also has the same 4-star of Phalanx. When you target an ally, give it barrier. So the keyword is just kind of a little cherry on top. The main thing you're playing this for is just protecting one of your units every single round. So that will be really good. I think most of these ones don't care. For Echo, technically it's another created card. Lux Illuminated, this is another one where it's going to be really good, because when you target an ally, give it Spirit and Impact. So it's going to be good for that, being able to get some more of those scaling going. Also, this is going to work for Lux's level up, because allies have attacked with these keywords, with 20 or more positive keywords. So you're targeting a unit, giving it Spirit and Impact, but then you're also giving it another keyword, so it's just helping you level up your Lux Illuminated even faster. So that's really good. Let's see. You could work with it for Vi as another just free card to play to help scale up your Vi in hand. And then it should also work for your 6-star for when you play a card, grant allies 1 power. So just another card to play. So it has some synergy there. That's not too bad. Obviously good for Aurelian Soul and his 4-star. When you play a created card, reduce the cost of all allies in hand by 2 everywhere. And then also you get a rare epic item on all your created cards. So it's going to be probably Biss for Aesol. So that'll be nice. For Diana, you could use this to trigger her Nightfall. You will still need to have probably a unit on the board to target, but who knows, this might be coded so you could actually target an enemy as well. We'll see. But could use as an easy way to just trigger your Nightfall every single round. It'll be really nice there. For Elise, this is going to work with her 3-star. When allies attack, grant Spiderlings everywhere 1 power and the positive keywords of all allies. So you use this on, or allied champions, use this on a champion, give them another keyword. Now your Spiderlings all have that keyword as well. So that's going to be also really good. Who else? It'll be good for Lee Sin, giving you a free spell to play that'll work with his 3-star as well. When you play your second spell in a round, give the strongest ally 8/8. So now you have a free spell, and then you also have this one, which isn't free, but at least it's giving you closer to consistently trigger Lee Sin's power. So that'll be pretty good right there. Let's see. It's a spell, so that could work for Nami. It's just another spell to play to help her level up. Also be able to give her let her buff other units, and also trigger your 2-star to refill your mana. It can work for Neela because it's going to be a fleeting card, so it's going to be able to go off twice for her. Not terrible right there. It can work for Varys. It's going to be a single target spell, so that's going to work with your 3-star and double it. Decent right there. Works with Poro King, his 3-star of getting 4 or more unique keywords, so it's going to help right there. And then Thresh is another one that's all about stacking keywords, so it would also be good right there as well. And then also it can work for pretty much anyone if you just want to go for a Chosen by the Star build, because you get Faded and Augment, and now you have a guaranteed way to trigger both of those every single round. So every single round, you're playing this on your champion, you're triggering the Faded so they get the 1/1, you're triggering the Augment so they get the 1 extra power right there, you're giving them another keyword, and you're getting them closer to triggering all of these. So you can use this on even the champions we haven't specified. If you just go for a specific build, it will still work on everyone. So this is going to be a crazy relic that's... You can, like, it works really, really good on some champions. It works pretty good on other champions. But then with the right build, it can pretty much work on any champion. So it's a pretty insane relic. Use a relic from Morgana if you can target the enemy with it. Yes, if that happens, if it's coded that way, yes, we will be able to target the enemy with it. Patch notes is in... Well, the patch notes is very inconsistent on when they actually do it. So it's maybe in 15 minutes, but sometimes they release it at different 15-minute increments. So sometimes it releases at like 12:30, 12:45, or like 1. I think she said, I think their like main communications person said that they were trying to get it out by 1 every time, but we'll have to see. Yeah, the Viktor update dropped really late yesterday. Hopefully this one doesn't drop late. Although I don't think there's going to be a lot in this patch notes. I think they're going to say Viktor's coming out, and all of these are getting extra rewards. Maybe they'll release, like, other than the Viktor bundles, maybe they'll release another bundle, like the ones they have for, like, your XP, like the gold vault one or the bronze reliquaries. Maybe they'll do another one of those this patch. Who knows? But they should also reveal the battle pass today as well, what we're getting in there. I'm glad I didn't spend on Warwick and Mbessa waiting for Viktor. Luckily, I did not need to spend anything on Warwick or Mbessa because I was able to earn all the stuff in game in order to upgrade them fully. But that makes it a lot easier to be like, okay, yeah, we'll just upgrade Viktor. But yeah, I 6-starred both Warwick and Mbessa, and I did not regret it. I wonder what second champion will be in the battle pass. No way it's going to be just Viktor fragments. They might do wild fragments, maybe. I don't necessarily think they're going to put other champion fragments in there. So they're either going to add more Viktor fragments, or they're just going to add other rewards where the other champion fragments would be. Might be coded to target an enemy as well, just to remind me that Warwick can hit your own injured units despite seeing enemies. Yeah, there's like the same thing with Mbessa. Her champion spell says target enemies, but it can target anyone. The Nidalee champion spell, or the spell she generates with her 2-star, also says allies, but can target anyone. So potentially with the Viktor relic, you might be able to target anyone with this, which, while that might seem bad on the surface, would actually make it even more versatile, because then, yes, you could use this on Morgana to target an enemy unit and just get free curses every round. So that wouldn't be too bad. Also, this way, you could use this to trigger your 4-stars, the Spellslinger, to get the Plunder off, even if you don't have a unit. That means you could play this right away, trigger the Plunder, and still get your Viktor on the board. Yeah, so for Warwick, it says player strike at damaged enemies, and then for the Blood Hunt, it says damage anything, deal 1 to a unit or Nexus, and 1 to another. This doesn't specify enemy Nexus or enemy units. The only part it specifies is grant all damaged enemies vulnerable. Hex Core, upgrade the enemy, kill it, steal the keyword with Carapace. Uh, Toast, what champ did you didn't expect to like and ended up liking a lot? I would say I was definitely, this isn't exactly, but I was worried about Warwick, and I ended up liking him more than I thought I would. So in recent memory, he's kind of the closest. Now, I didn't think I wouldn't like him at all, but I liked him more than I thought I would. Probably actually the best champion for that would probably be Jace. Jace was one that, especially before he was revealed, I had virtually no interest with him. When he got announced, I also didn't really care at all. Jace has just always been kind of a boring character to me. I didn't think his design was that interesting before, but he was one that, after I started playing with him, was like, oh, he's actually pretty good. And yeah, he's probably the closest to a champion that I didn't really like before, but after playing, I enjoyed him. The fact that Jace has to avoid powers to stay at 6 cost still bothers me to this day. Yes, I was playing a little bit of Jace in the monthly challenges, and I kept getting 6 cost spells that had cost reduction on them, which was driving me crazy. I think they really need to go into Jace and code it so you can't get 6 cost spells that get cost reduction on them, because that happens all the time and it feels terrible. What do you think his extra stars will be? So far his deck doesn't have that much creation going on, so I'm assuming there'll be some create support there. His deck is pretty good for created cards. So if we take a look at the starting deck, no, the Forge Chief doesn't create a spell, but this creates a card. This creates a card. This creates a card. This creates a card. And then this one is Augment, so it's scaling off created cards. This is Augment, so it's scaling off created cards. And then this is just a solid removal one. So he has decent cost reduction in his starting deck. But I think one thing you're probably going to see a lot in his constellation, it's going to be very similar to Heimerdinger, where Heimerdinger, throughout all of this, you see right here, support champions of Tech Evolution, followers you acquire have Tech Evolution, one of your starting deck has Tech Evolution, giving it Augment and Tech. You're probably going to see this a decent amount as well in the bonus stars for Viktor, just making you sure, like, for Heimerdinger, you cared about the Tech part, not the Augment part. But for Viktor, you don't care about the Tech part, you care about the Augment part of this. So you're probably going to see this on these support champions. One thing they could do is give the units the item that makes it so they have Attune and then create a Prank in hand to give you just another way to generate created cards. But your starting deck is pretty good for created cards. Would be cool if they gave him Manifest. Yeah, they're probably going to give him Manifest or Invoke on something, which will again just give you more created cards. So that'll be pretty good. Playing Jace right now, trying to make him 6 stars. Yes. When I get a random PNZ Nova Crystal, like obviously the next one I get is going for Viktor. But after that, there's a decent chance I throw that on Jace, because I think his 6 star is going to be incredibly strong. Yordle Portal on Champ Spell. I mean, Yordle Portal might be on support champions, like they did for Nora. So yeah, for Nora, right here, support champs have Portal Pals. They might do this for Viktor, since it's going to give you created units. So that could be really good. Let's actually go and look at Viktor again. So 4 cost. So if you use like a Packed Powder or Scourge of Stash on him, you can get him reduced down to 2 cost. You can play him turn 1. Triggering his Plunder is going to be very easy. if you are having his champion relic, or even without his champion relic, the fact that you have Spellslinger means triggering your Plunder, super easy. But 4 costs, you can get him on the board fairly early, even without the cost reduction. He does have Augment, so when you play him, if you have his 2-star, he's immediately getting 1/1, and then he can further scale up with all the created cards you're playing. So Viktor himself is going to be a pretty big and scary unit. Sad he doesn't have any skins. Start, create a Hex Core upgrade in hand. So this is going to be another created card for you to play. Give Viktor a random keyword. Now, I think this should still go off, even if you have his champion relic. So potentially you're getting 2 of these every single round if you're using his champion relic. Potentially 3 if you have at 6 stars. But giving you a created card to play every round, that's going to not only give you a keyword, but because it's triggering your augment, it's also scaling him up. His champion or his level up condition is you've played 7 created cards. Now, this is not I've seen you play 7 created cards. So even when Viktor's not on the board, this is still triggering. This will be very easy to do. And especially when you have him at 6 stars, it's going to be super easy. When he levels, he goes to a 3/5, and now your created cards cost 1 less. So just all created cards, all of them, doesn't matter if it's a spell, unit, whatever, they're all costing 1 less. So that's really good. And now you're still having your Hex Core upgrade. So if you run something like Portal Pals, either on Viktor or if your support champion gets it, then not only is that card getting reduced down by the cost of Viktor or the support champion, if Viktor is leveled, it's also getting reduced down. Then if you met 6 stars, it's going to double up and you're going to get 2 of them. Now his champion spell is a little bit of a worry because it's not the best. This might be the one reason you don't want to go for Echoing, but deal 1 to a unit. Also 1 cost, 2 cost, and 3 cost. These are going to be pretty easy to play because for 1, most of these are going to count as created cards when you have them leveled, so they're already going to get that cost reduction. If you're running Echoing, actually if you're running Echoing, these 2 probably aren't going to get discounted because they're technically not his champion spell. Anyway, since this is putting another card in the top 3 of your deck, while that's not bad, it can kind of then punish you if you don't have enough draw, because now you're drawing one of these instead of drawing some other card that could potentially help you. So you might end up in a situation where you just keep drawing these death rays, but you could really use some of your other cards. So the fact that this is putting this in the top of your deck could be a little bit of a problem. That being said, it could be really good into Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks this could be really good into because you're able to put more cards in your deck, so that could be something that's kind of funny. But if they add like a Manifest to this, an Invoke to this, or just some extra draw, especially like all copies of this, then it's going to be really good, and it's going to change his champion spell from one that's kind of mediocre to one that's actually really good, which we're really hoping they do. Especially because they have other things like Nami, where she also has a champion spell that has 3 different phases, and all of those are burst speed. So if they do something where all of these have Invoke or Manifest, or even the Emperor's deck upgrade, I forget what it's called, that could be really, really good. Also remember, if you have him at 6 stars, when you play these, it's going to go off twice, which is going to trigger your augment twice, but it's also going to create 2 of these in the top 3 cards of your deck, so you're really going to end up where you're not playing anything but your death rays. But this could give you good scaling, could give you good removal, and good damage on the enemy nexus. Invoke Manifest would be too much for the 6 stars, right? It would be a lot. Because, yeah, you play one of these, it goes off twice, it manifests twice, and then when you play, it also gets doubled. So, it is possible that they would think it'd be too much. Yeah. I still think it probably would be fun, though. With talk of Viktor, what do you think of the Arcane finale? I liked it. I think my biggest complaint for Arcane overall, and I'm not going to talk about any spoilers in case anyone's worried. I'm not going to go into any specifics. But my biggest issue with Arcane's show overall is that they didn't quite have enough room to breathe for some of the champions, or some of the storylines. there's some people that we saw for like a episode, and that was kind of it. Like Savika, I think her name is. She was the henchman for Silas. Silco. That's it. We got like one decent episode with her, and then there wasn't really almost anything. So there was a lot of people that had really interesting storylines that didn't have enough time for them to really flesh out, because they kind of had so many characters like branch out and do their own things. So that's like the one thing I kind of didn't like about the show. But overall, I like the ending. I thought it was a really good show. And I look forward to the next show they do. Charging Sigil 4 would be simpler one, but not as fun as creating. Yeah, like if they tried to, like, they could honestly just add maybe one draw onto this, and that wouldn't be terrible. So that when you play this, you can draw a card. So it's not really punishing you. That would probably be easier to balance than doing the created card route. Or just, yeah, giving these all extra damage could also be decent as well. I hope they do something for his champion spell, because otherwise I don't think it's going to be very good. So you probably wouldn't want to run Grand General's counter plan, and then Echoing Spirit. It'd be great to be able to get double Viktor on the board, but then you have so much of his champion spell just cluttering your hand that you potentially don't want to play. Sup, Toast, how are you feeling about Viktor? I think Viktor is really, really good. I think he has one of the most versatile relics in the entire game. Almost, like, you could run it on pretty much any champion if you also pair it with Chosen by the Stars, but then also it has so many different synergies for so many champions. Like, it counts as create a card for, like, Aurelion Sol, counts as targeting for people like Ambessa, Lux Illuminated, and Yumi. It gives you extra keywords for people that need that, such as like Poro King or Kaisa. It is an incredibly versatile relic. It's going to be very, very good. Viktor himself, I think, since he has just so much synergy with created cards, and there's so many created cards in Path of Champions overall, whether that's through items like Invoke or Manifest, or just so many of the powers that give you a created card every round, or summon a created unit every round, I think Viktor is going to be incredibly good. His 6-star, also really, really good. Being able to duplicate probably the vast majority of cards you play is just going to be insane. Kaisa seems like she could be a lot of fun with it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of champions that this is just going to give them a pretty big buff. Like, I think Yumi, already pretty strong, but being able to trigger your Fated and your 4-star to give you a unit barrier every single round for free and a keyword is going to be really, really good. Same for like Lux Illuminated. Yeah, 6 stars with the Echoing Spirit, so you can drop Viktor and get 2 of them. And so both of them are creating Hex Core upgrades, and then you're potentially getting a third one from your champion relic, and then all of them are getting doubled, so you're just casting like 6 of them. It's going to be pretty crazy. His relic is a little confusing. Hex Core upgrades burst, you can't do slow but steady. That is true. What do you think of the devs just adding burst to a lot of slow spells that would like to get doubled by slow and steady power? I think overall it is a net positive. Oh, what are you posting? Oh, okay. Thank you, Marshall. All right, so they dropped the Battle Pass upgrade, or Battle Pass. So reward 1 Platinum Vault. Okay, so this is normally where we would get champion fragments for the other champion. So yeah, they just threw in a Platinum Vault. So that's pretty good. Viktor Fragments, Greater Cosmic Blessing, Stardust, Wild Fragments, Bronze Reliquary, Gold Vault, more Wild Fragments, Bronze Reliquary, Silver Vault. So a lot of vaults in here. Next up then, Wild Fragments, Star Crystals. That's nice to be able to get Viktor up with the Battle Pass, plus the fact that a lot of the rewards for the Arcane Adventures should also be giving you Star Crystals. You probably can get Viktor up to like 5 stars, so that'll be really good. Gold Vault, more fragments for Viktor. Blessings, Reliquary, more Wild Fragments, Stardust, Cosmic Blessings, more Wild Fragments, Platinum Vault, Gold Star Vessel. I'm gonna guess that this Gold Star Vessel is for PNZ, but not sure. Silver Reliquary, Wild Fragment, Stardust, Cosmic Blessings, Silver Reliquary, Nova Shards. That's nice. So we're getting 20 Nova Shards for PNZ right now, and potentially 20 more if this one is also PNZ. So that's solid. Silver Star Vessel for Bandle. All right, Gold Vault, Wild Fragments, Star Crystal, Silver Reliquary, another Platinum Vault. There's a lot of Wild Fragments here and a lot of vaults. So anyone that was complaining about not having Champion Fragments, this Battle Pass is going to be great for you. 10 more Nova Shards. And then this one, okay, this Gold Star Vessel is definitely going to be PNZ. Silver Star Vessel for Runeterra. Wild Fragments, Platinum Vault, Silver Reliquary, Major Gemstone, and 1 Diamond Vault. So this is giving them a minimum of 20. And then we have 10 right there. And then we have 20 right here. So it looks like we're having a minimum of 50. So you're getting 50 minimum, because this is giving you at least 20. The 1 Star Vessel right here, we don't know what region it's for, but that could give you some more. But also remember, oh, I clicked out of it, that this one can high roll. 20 is the minimum. So that's going to be giving you a lot of fragments for PNZ, which will be very nice. Like, I'm looking at my Wild Fragments right now. I have 40. So I'm going to either be able to get the Nova Crystal just from the Battle Pass, or I'm going to be like 10 away. So yeah, the Battle Pass, it's giving you a lot of stuff for Viktor, a lot of stuff for PNZ, but then also just a lot of vaults. So yeah, a lot of places where they had other champion fragments, they're just putting in like platinum vaults. So if you need more champion fragments, you're going to be getting plenty. 50 minimum, perfect. I have enough for an extra PNZ crystal. Yeah, this will be really good. It can high roll for 50 or super high roll for a full Nova. Yes. Every platinum vault is removed champion. Yeah. So this will be nice. And then if you're someone where you're not able to buy it, even for free, you're still being able to get Viktor for free. So even if you can't unlock him, or if you can't unlock the Battle Pass, you can still get Viktor, which will be pretty nice. So if you're just doing the free route, you get Viktor, Bronze Reliquary, Silver Vault, 5 Cosmic Blessings, 10 Wild Fragments, 500 Stardust, a Gold Vault, Silver Reliquary, 10 Wild Fragments, and 500 Stardust, and the Gold Star Vessel is also free. So even if you can't get the Battle Pass, you're still getting some pretty good stuff in here. Like free Viktor, free Golden Star Vessel, and then some more like Fragments, Vault, Stardust. So still pretty good. Did you ever get to convert Nova Shards to Nova Star? Yeah, I've done that like 3 or 4 times at this point. Maybe even 5, actually. I've done that a bunch. So yeah, I've been able to convert multiple of the Nova Shards into crystals. The pass is longer, right? No, I think this is where it is right here. Are they expanding the Arcane update? We might get even more Viktor Shards. Yes, so I believe we're getting extra rewards in all of these. I think they're adding a couple extra rewards to them. So we're probably going to get some more Viktor fragments in here. And potentially for a lot of these higher level ones, we got a couple star vessels. So even though the battle pass is giving you 50 minimum, you're probably going to get some more from in here. So you're potentially going to be able to get, if not an entire Nova Crystal from all of the different Nova Shards, you're probably going to get close. Because already from the Battle Pass, we're getting like 50. And then there's probably going to be 1 or 2 golden vessels in here to give you another like 20. So you're either going to be able to unlock Viktor and his like 6-star, or you're going to be close. So that's going to be awesome. So only Viktor in December? Yes, we're only getting Viktor. The other new champion got pulled or postponed because they're going to give it the potentially voiceover, maybe new cards, and maybe a level up. After the reaction of the community for the other new champions, the community was not happy. And so like, okay, we hear you loud and clear. We'll wait for new champions until we can actually have them be the same bar of quality as kind of all the previous champions. Yeah, the new champion most likely is Mel. It's either Mel or a different version of Viktor. Miguel, Delulu. Thank you for the follow. Could be Viktor too. Yeah, they might have released Viktor and Viktor Evolved at the same time. So I would guess it's either Mel or Viktor. One of those two. Yeah, and I'm actually really excited. This should hopefully be the last P&Z we get for a long time. And so the next couple updates, hopefully we can actually start getting some extra like Bilgewater, Targon, Shurima, Freljord, like most of the regions. Like right now we have a decent amount of Runeterra, we have kind of too many P&Z, and we have a solid amount of Noxus. All of the other regions really need some love. Wrong, it's the 70th P&Z constellation Singed. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even be that mad. Singed would be pretty interesting. Could you do a P&Z tier list? I mean, it's difficult because, well, for one, I don't have them all. So it's hard to really evaluate. It's a lot of guesswork. But also, a lot of the P&Z are really strong. Like, Jinx with her 6-star is really good. Caitlyn with her 6-star and the right build is also actually pretty good now. Now, I think Jinx is definitely better, and Caitlyn's potentially still the worst out of all of them, but the gap is much closer now. So I'm not even as confident being like, oh yeah, she's flat out the worst. But then Warwick is actually really good, kind of better than I was anticipating. Echo, again, I haven't played with it, but every time you see a unit in a predict, so you could see them multiple times, you're doubling their stats. So Echo should have absolutely massive units, and then Echo already has some crazy combo potential. So I think his 6-star is probably pretty good. I think the Jay's 6-star is also going to be really good. And then there's also Vi. I always forget about Vi. Vi's is pretty boring, to be honest. But I think it's still pretty solid. You could also go for a build. You just go for a bunch of gate breakers. Drop Vi and let her like nuke the Nexus. I have 6-star Echo is pretty good. Don't think I've ever seen Echo gameplay ever. I mean, I have Echo videos in general up on the channel. But people have videos up with the 6-star. Somebody suggested Death's Foil and Double Stalkers for 6-star Echo. It's insanely strong and fun. Interesting. I mean, yeah, Echo is actually another one that you could go for gate breakers, get a massive Echo, and then drop him. So yeah, I think for a lot of the P&Z champions, they're actually pretty close in power. I think they're all quite good. I don't think it's that wide of a gap between them. And yeah, so like a tier list for just them would be a lot of guesswork on my part. I feel like they were planning on releasing Viktor 1.0 and 2.0 in the same patch. Possibly, yes. I definitely could have seen that happening. I wonder if they'll release patch notes. Yes. When that happens, we'll kind of have to see, but... I'm pulling up their page now. Although, for some reason, the patch notes, they never hit for me immediately. I always like need someone to link them. Gatebreaker Echo is just bad. Best Echo, in my opinion, is Echoing plus double stalkers. Yeah, when I play Echo, I normally go for Echoing on him. Oh, this is one of my one build video. Echoing is just probably the best for Echo. I think it's so good. And I still normally go for a Stalker's Blade. I do like that. I think the third one is a little bit more of a flex for me. Death's Foil can be fun, but even going for a Hidden Tome, I think it's something I also like. So where you drop him, he gets his strike off, you can immediately play his Fleeting Time trick. Something like that is generally my normal build form. See ya, Carthians. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting patch. Also, do note that this is going to be the longest patch because they're going to be taking off for Christmas. So after this patch, the next update, I believe, is the 16th of January. Oh, actually, right, that's true. Hidden Tome, if you don't have him at 4 stars, I think it's pretty good. Right, since he does get sorcery, forgot about that. Since he has sorcery, it's not really as needed. So yeah, throwing something else on, pretty good. You can play the mana from sorcery and then play Echo, but I think since you have sorcery, getting the extra mana from Hidden Tome isn't quite as needed. But yeah, I'll kind of just chill for a little bit while anyone's stuck in the ad. Hello, do you have the reward from the monthly challenge? So I have 15 battle wins. Didn't get rewarded for that. Yeah, I think all my rewards opened normally as I was going through. Just noticed soon we'll have enough champs to use every champion only once in the monthlies. Yes. I like Found Fortune Echo. He always hits K, and when she's gone, you always hit Chrono Break. Oh, that's interesting. All right, everyone should be back. The one thing I noticed, or want you to note, is that this is going to be the longest patch because their team is taking off for Christmas. So the next patch after this, I believe, is January 16th. So this is going to be a pretty long patch for us to have. On the good side, since all these adventures are going to be going away with next patch, it does give people more time to try to go through and get all these. But yeah, I do know it's going to be a bit. It's going to be the longest patch of the year, probably. So we've already gone over the Viktor Relic a couple times. It is very good. It's going to be very good for Viktor. It's also going to be good for a ton of champions because it's doing a bunch of things that a lot of people like. It's a created card for Aurelion Sol. It's doing targeting for like Yuumi and Lux and Bessa. It's also, I believe, a fleeting card. It works a bunch for keyword champions like Kaisa, Poro King, Thresh. It's going to be one of the most versatile relics in the entire game. So if you really like having the ability to do a lot of different builds with a bunch of different champions, it's probably one of the best ones to buy. Yeah, we mentioned the fleeting for Neela. And then even if you don't use it on a champion that has a specific build for it, you could pair it with the Chosen by the Stars to trigger the Faded and Augment every single round. So if you really just want to focus on scaling up your champion, like people have talked about Teemo, and to be honest, you could go for a build with Teemo where you drop Teemo round 1, you have Chosen by the Stars, and you go for the Viktor relic. This way, Teemo is able to get a ton of keywords. You're constantly scaling him up. You could also go for like Living Weapon, so he's also scaling up from this. To be honest, going for these two and the Viktor relic, if you just want to have a monster Teemo that's constantly scaling up and getting massive every single round, this could actually be a solid build for you. So even in champions that it doesn't necessarily have synergy with, it has synergy with other relics, so you can still like make it work on any champion you just want to scale like crazy. The third slot is the relic, is the Viktor relic. But Crown Guard is good on Teemo. That's what I normally use. Like, this here is my like default Teemo build, because you drop him, he gets a Nexus Strike off, and then he attacks. Before he hits Nexus, he levels and rallies, so you're able to double the amount of puff caps round 1. Chosen, Viktor, and Crown Guard. Yeah, you could potentially do that. The other build is just like if you wanted to scale him up as much as possible. So yeah, it's going to be one of the best relics in the game as far as versatility, because you can throw it on and make it work for almost every single champion. And there's going to be some specific champions where it's probably their best relic, like Yuumi. I'm probably throwing it on Yuumi. It's going to be fantastic. Since I have Yuumi at the 5 stars, I'll potentially get rid of Disciple, or maybe even swap it out for like Beast Within. It's going to be really, really good for Yuumi. It's going to be pretty solid for some other champions as well. Imagine a relic that rallies every time you level up any champion. Like your Shurima movie build. Oh yeah, just like a couple minutes of all level up animations. Yeah, I hope they add some Shurima champions, because I have 2 Nova Crystals just sitting here. Yeah, this will be really fun. I also, while I would like having 2 champions, it is going to be nice to just focus on one champion. So when the patch comes out, we're just playing Viktor. We're playing Viktor a ton every single day, and I can just focus all my energies on him, try to get the guide out really fast. Yeah, I already have Kaisa and Talia 6 stars. I mean, with how many champions we have right now, I wouldn't actually be opposed if we just sometimes had one champion for the month. It would not bother me. Isn't Boo better for Yuumi than Beast? It's really personal preference. For me, with Yuumi, I prefer having the extra 1/1 as far as stats. I've tried Spirit of the Buru to get all the other ones, and normally my units just weren't big enough right away. I just needed them to be a little bit bigger. And so after testing them both, I prefer Beast. But yeah, it is personal preference. I'm slowly getting through the monthlies. Oh, you're slacking off. It's been a couple days. You're not done with them all yet? Oh yeah, I wish I could spread them out a little bit. One champ for the month and add more epic relics. Could be a nice patch in my opinion. Yeah, that's one thing I kind of doubt, especially since we haven't had any leaks, but I wouldn't mind if we also got some more epic relics this month, but I kind of doubt it. I think we're probably just getting Viktor and Viktor Battle Pass and adding some rewards to these adventures. We're actually probably getting constellations instead of new champions. That will be nice as well, yeah. But the battle pass will be really good because, yeah, I know a lot of people were saying that they weren't able to get, or they were running out of champion fragments. And so this has a lot of wild fragments and then also just a lot of champion fragments as well. And yeah, this, I think the fact that it's a power and that it's round start just every single round, I think this is going to be so good. Diana Constellation, oh, that would be terrible. Just gonna be, it would be so broken. Oh my word. Yeah, Hex Core looks like it's going to be fun. We don't know what else Viktor has as far as his constellation. Overall, though, I think the starting deck, especially since we haven't seen any items, I think this is going to be pretty good. And then I think his star powers, I'm kind of glad they're going for Spellburn instead of like Evolution, because I think with the Augment and these 3 powers right here, your units are already going to be so massive that having the Spellburn, I mean, it's one of the most fun epic powers in the game if you have a build that works around it. So just being able to nuke down the enemy Nexus will be pretty fun. Nami Hex Core Chosen build, I mean, yeah, it would work. And the 6-star, just duplicating all your spells. Or all spells, units. This will be a lot of fun. I really look forward to playing Echoing Spirit with Viktor. Being able to drop him, just get 2 of them on the board. Yeah, Viktor is going to be a very fun champion. Top 4 champs that can use the new relic, in my opinion, are Viktor, Aesol, Nami, and Yuumi. I don't really agree on Nami. I think Nami's going to be good, but I don't know if I put her in the top 4. Like, Viktor, yes, obviously. Aesol, definitely. Yuumi, definitely. His epic Echoing Pact Powder, potentially, yeah. That's definitely a build I'm going to try. Just get him on the board turn 1 and immediately get those Hex Cores going. I think Lux Illuminated would probably like the relic more than Nami. Yeah, Nami will enjoy it, but I think for Lux Illuminated, being able to give a unit 3 keywords every single round is going to be great for her, especially letting her level up even faster. So yeah, Lux Illuminated, I think will probably like it a little bit more. I think it'll also be pretty solid for Ambessa, just giving you a way to save one of your units every single round. Also, I really want to try it out for Elise. I think for Elise it could be pretty fun. The one issue is for some of the units, like Kaisa, that already have a lot of keywords, you might have an issue where it just keeps giving you keywords you already have. I don't know. We'll have to see. Because with Kaisa, I'd want to use the Hex Core first and then use her second skin to lock in that keyword. But I think if you do that, you have a high probability of hitting one of the keywords you already have. So when you try to lock it in, it's not actually really going to help you. More value in the barrier in an already aggressive deck. Yeah. That is kind of sad that the Viktor relic is probably better for Ambessa than her own relic. Because just being able to give one of your units barrier every single round, like, unless they're using a kill spell, you're just saving your unit whether they're attacking. Like, you just get to safely block every round, safely attack every round. Like, it's so good for the 4-star Phalanx. And the thing is, this Viktor relic, it's so versatile, it does so many different things that even for champions that aren't released yet, it's probably going to be fantastic for. So there's going to be a lot of champions that's just like, oh yeah, like if they have anything with created cards, if they have anything with targeting, faded, anything with fleeting, anything with spells, any synergy with keywords, like there's so many different things it hits that's going to be great for. Like, yeah, Pantheon, it's going to be fantastic for Pantheon. It just helps so many different types of builds and the fact that it's a power and happening just every single round, it's going to be a lot of champions that come out that's just like, okay, this is going to be great. Pantheon, Akshan. Yeah, there's so many champions that have that sort of play style that it's just going to be great for. And like anyone in the future that gets the Phalanx power, it's going to be fantastic. It is going to be really funny for Morgana if you can target the enemy with it. You just get a free way to target enemy units. After a safe skip relic, there's now a must-have relic. Yeah, I think unless you really liked Mbessa, and even if you do really like Mbessa, you didn't really need to get her relic. The Warwick relic was pretty versatile, but I think this, other than going for like Beast Within, which is another relic you can pretty much throw on everyone and have it be good, unless they already have Overwhelm from like their 4-star or their 3-star for Talia. Other than something that's just giving everyone a keyword, this is probably the most versatile relic in the game. Garen is down bad for Phalanx. Yes, Garen really should get Phalanx. For him, it would be so good. Like, Phalanx plus your single combat would just be incredible. Warwick relic for Vlad. Yeah, the Warwick relic is another one that's pretty versatile and is something that can help a lot of potential future champions. But pretty much nothing. Like, I don't think there's any other relic that really comes close to the Viktor one, other than like, okay, Black Shield, if you want to give everyone Spell Shield, great. Or yeah, Beast Within for giving everyone that Overwhelm. But even things like Starforged Gauntlets, there's only so many champions you can have hit Titanic, and for like half of those champions, you have to use like 2 relic slots in order to get it happening. But like for this one, I just feel like it's so good. Yeah, the Swain relic is another one that is pretty versatile, but I think this new Viktor one is even better. Like, if I did a tier list for relics, probably the top way it's going to be rated is on versatility. Like, how many champions this is their best relic, or at least a very good relic for them. It's great. Warwick relic revived Tom so much. Yes, it did. Let's refresh some pages since it's been, or went over the half-an-hour mark. All right, not really seeing anything at the moment. Yeah, Viktor is going to have really good scaling from his augment. I think the scaling he has is actually going to surprise people. The fact that all of your units that have augment have a flat 1/1, and every time you play a created card, they get an additional 1/1. The patch notes could be delayed, that is true. Like, we're going to wait until, well, half an hour. But after that, it could be, yeah. Blade Dance, Sand Soldiers. Yeah, that's the thing, is anything that's creating a unit, because this is a summon effect. When you summon a created unit, so anything that's giving you units at the start of every round, so like the Poros you get every round, or the Saplings, those all immediately going to get the extra 1/1, so they're all now just stronger. But also some of the units like, I forget what they're called, the Vanguard Lookouts, and then the other one that obviously fits for Viktor. Any of those will also be really good, because you get these units at the start of the game, they already have augment because they're created, so that they already start with 1/1, and then you'll be able to scale them up constantly as you're playing created cards. Yeah, there's so many created cards in Path of Champions that even without the 6-star, your units are going to be scaling up massively. Once you get the 6-star, it's going to be insane. Do you think he'll be fine in 4-star plus adventures without a 6-star? Yes, I think he'll still be pretty good. Your units will be able to scale very quickly. I think he'll be fine, but then he'll be crazy once you get the 6-star. Like, especially if you're running these 3 and you just have his champion relic, you're playing a created card every single round. So essentially you're buffing up, if not your whole board, most of your units by 1/1 every single round at kind of a minimum. And then you should be playing multiple created cards every single round. So your units are probably going to get insane. His scaling feels like Pike. Not for everywhere, but scales quicker, kind of. Yes. So that's the thing, is you're going to be a champion kind of similar to like a Leona, where you're constantly scaling up your units that you have on your board. Same with like Poro King, with his round start effect, that you get to a point where you have a full board and they're going to keep scaling, but if you play a new unit, they are kind of reset back down because your buffs are just hitting your board, not everywhere. So you are going to have some massive units, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. If they can get removed, though, if they get like recalled or just you got hit with like a vengeance, a kill spell, that's going to be a little bit worse for you, because having to play a new unit, you're then kind of starting back at 0. Now, at least with this right here, they're still starting with a 1/1, but you will have to build them back up. Yeah, Hymn of Valor and the Relic that doubles your stat boost could be pretty crazy for you if you just want to have the most massive Viktor possible. What about Transmogulator on non-created cards? Yep, you'd be able to use Transmogulator to get some created cards. You'd be able to go for Spectral Scissors to do that as well, although that's going to be ephemeral. Also, you'll be able to go for Condenser to make another copy of your created card. Your Augments trigger everywhere would have been an interesting power for him as well. Yeah, but I kind of feel like that would have been kind of overkill, potentially. Him and Secret Technique will be fun. Yeah, that's kind of the thing I like about Viktor and his Relic, that I think he's going to be strong, and I think his Relic is going to be good and versatile, but I think it's going to be just a fun option. Now, there's a couple champions that it is probably going to be just like their flat-out best option, like probably Yuumi, probably Aurelion Sol, maybe like Lux Illuminated, maybe Nami. But I think for a lot of people, it's just going to be a fun option that you can run. And even for Viktor himself, I think there's going to be some builds that are probably pretty crazy on him. But yeah, there's going to be some builds like Hymn of Valor and Secret Technique that it's just a lot of fun. Or going for like Portal Pals and Oath of the Guardians. Another build that probably going to be pretty random. You're not always going to get the best units, but sometimes it's going to be pretty fun. Because yeah, that's kind of what I like for most relics. That I don't really like the +1 starting mana ones. Like, I'm not completely against them. I think something simple like that can be fine. But in general, I really like relics that open up build possibilities. So I loved the Swain relic when it came out, because suddenly this triggers a whole new wave of build options. Like now on Champions, you can go for builds with a Plunder relic, and now you can get a champion on the board turn 1 that normally you couldn't. Like, turn 1 Heimerdinger, I think is just flat out his best build, and you only are getting this because of the Swain relic. And so this is something you can do on a bunch of champions, is pairing those two relics together, and now opens up a massive amount of build possibilities on a ton of champions that wouldn't work before. And I think that's going to be the same thing with this relic, where going for like this relic and Chosen on like anyone for great scaling and a ton of keywords is going to be really good. But there's a lot of other champions where it's just going to have some specific synergy, and it's often a different synergy. Like for Aurelion Soul, you just care that it's a created card. Like for most champions that are using it, you don't actually care about its effect of the keyword. Like the fact of granting you a keyword for most champions is like the least important aspect of it. A lot of them are just happy because this is a free created spell every round, and it's just helping so many different people. I think it's a lot of fun. I remember how people were calling Swain's Relic useless on release. It didn't age well. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have very dumb takes that do not age well at all. I remember people saying Kaisa had a terrible 6-star, and that was something else to try to push back against. Yeah, there's people that don't see the build potential, and they think something's terrible without actually playing it. Because yeah, Kaisa's 6-star is amazing, and yeah, the Swain Relic is fantastic. Because it works with Plunder, it makes it so good. Warwick is another example. Yeah, a lot of people, well, Warwick is kind of split in two different camps. Some people thought he was just useless, and then other people were just pissed the fact that he didn't have any of the like special stuff coming along with him. He didn't have voice lines, he didn't have any followers, he didn't have a unique level up. So some of the hatred was towards that. Are the patch notes usually this late? Sometimes yes. Like this is not unusual at this point, no. And there's people like me who don't like his gameplay at all. I don't care about strength. Yeah, like it's totally fine to not like a champion or not like a specific relic. But when some people just think it's like, oh, flat out bad, it's like you can not like something and realize it's pretty strong. Warwick makes more sense the more you play him. Absolutely love his deck and play style. Same. The more I play Warwick, the more I enjoy him. I've really liked Warwick. Like I always was excited for Warwick, just because I think Warwick is a very cool champion. And yeah, his playstyle is great. I like it a lot. I'm forgetting a third right now, but I've already run Cruel and Chosen. Do you think down the line they would release relics for champions already in Path of Champions, like Echo, etc.? I mean, for some, they kind of already have. Well, it's like in two different regards. For one, there's some relics like Spirit of the Buru that is obviously inspired by Alawi. Like that's her item she uses in game that she runs around with. So there's some that are already like designed for a champion. But then there's others like Yasuo that when he got upgraded to 6 stars, they brought a relic with him that you could get. So I definitely think they're going to keep doing this for when they upgrade champions. As far as going back and giving some champions relics, I think that is a possibility. But I think their main priority is releasing relics with the champions coming out. And so like if there's a champion, like let's say for Vayne. Vayne is a 6-star champion. She does not have a specific relic. And that's most of the champions that came out with when Constellations first came out, most champions didn't have a specific relic. I think it's possible that they would do that, but I think the top priority is just releasing relics with the champions currently coming out. Warwick will be my next 6-star, even with Viktor's Relic and PNZ. It's close, but I feel like Warwick is so fun already and gets so much from the 6-star that it's a tiny bit more worth it. So Warwick is definitely a lot of fun. I do not regret getting a 6-star at all. I do feel like the Viktor one is probably going to be better, and that he will probably get more from it than Warwick will. But I mean, yeah, to each his own. PNZ is still a good choice in terms of 6 stars. Yeah, like all of their champions are really strong. Like Caitlyn can be a little bit weak without the right build, but still pretty good. Thought about something a while ago. What if we got legendary relics in the future? I think I've asked them about that. I think I asked that in one interview at some point. And I think it was something they were like, never say never, but not really something that they seemed too interested in. Yeah, I just can't wait for some more regions. We definitely need some more champions right now. It's a little sad. Well, not more champions in general, just more champions for some of the regions. Yeah, I feel bad for anyone that has multiple Targon, but I mean, I am in the same boat because I have essentially multiple Bilgewaters, and I already have all the Bilgewater champions, and I have multiple Shurimas. I technically could get Samira's 6-star right now, but don't really want to. Want to save it for, I think, someone better. Let's refresh patch notes. Sometimes they come out at the 45-minute mark. I'm not seeing them, but they also normally show up later for me. Yeah, not seeing it at the moment. We probably have to just wait 15 minutes till the hour to roll over, and that's when they should drop. Since they delayed the new champion, what is the alternative for free champ fragments in the Arcane Adventure? For the Arcane Adventure, who knows? Because they're not out yet. Anything we say is just going to be guesswork. They're either going to do what they did for the Battle Pass and just add, like, Platinum Vaults, or something like that that's just going to work for anyone. Will we get a Battle Pass this patch? Yes, we get a Battle Pass every patch, and we already went over all the rewards. It's pretty much the same as a normal Battle Pass, but for any spot where there was a second champion, they pretty much just replaced it with a Platinum Vault. I hope we'll get new adventures to Nightmares as well. We will. That was actually something I also asked them in the interview. Be like, hey, are we going to get like a Nightmare Aesol or Nightmare Galio? Yes, that is something they plan on doing, is bringing some of the adventure or existing adventures into the Nightmare versions as well. It's just going to take time. Right, give me more Gamba and shards just like I wanted. Yeah, a lot of people just yesterday were asking for more vaults. Platinum and gold vault instead of champion shard, so I guess it's a good exchange. Yeah, because if you're not someone like me that has a maxed out account, as far as champion fragments, then it's just helping you boost up more people. For me, it's probably going to be mostly Stardust, because I plan on using a lot of my wild fragments on Viktor, because like a couple patches ago I was stuck at the cap of 500, and I don't really want that to ever happen again. So I try to just burn through as many of my wild fragments as possible, because if these get duplicated, like if you hit the cap, you don't get anything for them. They're wasted. But for like champion fragments, if those get duplicated, okay, you get Stardust. So for me, I try to use all my wild fragments, and then I just use, like, if I get duplicates of a champion, okay, I get Stardust. Don't feel like doing my monthlies. Just try to do a couple monthlies every day. Same for me, Toast. Max my champion fragments as well during the last patch. Suffering from success? Yes. Did 3 monthlies? It's a start. Yeah, there was one patch where we just got like a ton of wild fragments. I think it's probably because there was a lot of the adventures, like here I haven't even done them all. For like Hand of Noxus and some of the other lower adventures that they added a bunch of rewards to, that I was grinding through and trying to complete them all for progress towards my legend level. But I was just getting so many fragments that I ended up having all my champions maxed, and I ended up hitting the 500 wild fragment threshold, and I was like, oh, this is bad. And then I had like a couple weeks of all my dailies, the wild fragments just being wasted. Where can I find where each encounter does? Maybe, I'm guessing probably on the wiki. Monthlies are so much better now with the animation speed, in my opinion. Can clear 4 to 5 in under 10 minutes. Yes, I love the animation speed increase. It's so nice, especially for the monthlies, because the monthlies normally take a really long time. So just being able to turn that on and try to blast through as fast as possible is fantastic. Pretty much lets me do the monthlies in like half the time I normally would. It's great. I stay at ×2 so I can still watch people playing it 1.5. Did you watch Arcade in Season 2? Yes, I did. It was very good. Like, it's the type of show that after watching it, you just have to try to think, like, do I have any critiques of it at all? Is there any real problems that I can look at? And, like, for me, I just think that there was kind of too many timelines going on where I think they didn't give them all enough time to really breathe. So I would have liked if they either didn't have quite as many different events going on, or if it was just like a little bit longer so they were able to give each one a little bit more to develop. That's kind of like my only real critique. Other that, and like a specific scene between two champions seems super out of place and kind of random for what was going on at the time. It's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now? Okay, I guess. I mean, you mean the Black Rose, right? That was a issue, because normally for Arcane, I feel like quite often there's scenes where there's like multiple champions or multiple characters doing something, and it works to flesh out both of their characters. Yeah, the Black Rose scene is just like all those is only one character, and it's like completely separate or feels very separate from the other timeline. But as far as the one that seems super out of place was the jail scene. Yeah, that was just like I get you're wanting to put this in the show, but I feel like there could have been better places to put that. It just felt super out of place. And I just think, like, if I am either of these characters, is this what I am thinking about right now when, like, the world is kind of ending? Yeah, it's just, it seems super out of place. Yeah, I know it was fan service for some people, they really liked it, but for me, whenever those types of scenes are happening, I normally want it to like make sense, especially for the characters. And in that specific situation with what like just happened and what they were just going through, it's like, this doesn't really seem the best time for this, but whatever. See, that's what you want to do when the world is ending, if it's ending and there's nothing you can do to stop it, potentially. But if you're about to, like, have to go and fight and try to stop the world from ending, you think you'd kind of be preoccupied. Biggest issue with the show is that with the reveal of the last episodes, the previous episodes make no sense. Not sure exactly what you mean, but also don't feel like you don't have to go into it. Just because I don't want to mess anything. Black Rose and the Raven was great for me as lore nerd. Oh, maybe that's what people meaning. For my friends that don't play League, they had absolutely no clue what's happening or where it came from, what it means. Yeah, but I think that's fine. I don't think it was that. I think when people see something like that and they don't know what it means, I think that's fine, because then you can try to look and be like, oh, what does this mean? So I think that part of it was okay. It does. It might have been fan service, but it's very spur of the moment. Missing each other is how I saw it. Maybe. I'm glad that it seemed in place for you. For me, it seemed super out of place. Like, obviously, they were hinting at that throughout the entire season, which was fine. It's just like, this seemed not the right time. I would like if Riven was added to Path of Champions. So would I. I think Riven would be pretty fun. Patch notes out. Not yet. Hopefully in 5 minutes. Arcane 3, Mordekaiser returns. I mean, I'm pretty sure they said, yeah, this was the last season of Arcane. But it seems like the next show they do has a high chance of being Noxus. My problem was a lot of the scenes were skipped. How Warwick got into the cave. Battle after Isha. Yeah, that's the thing, is there was a lot where some stuff maybe felt a little bit rushed. So giving more time for different scenes and for different champions to kind of breathe and go over some stuff would have been nice. So excited for the Ionia show. Just looking at the backgrounds, it'll be a blessing to the eyes. Yeah, if they do Ionia, it should be very pretty. The problem with the Path of Champions patch notes is there's really isn't anything besides a couple new champ powers. I mean, they never balance change or actually fix problems. Problems like 1 HP units not getting regen or re-rolling the same powers in the shop. For some things they will occasionally balance, but yeah, patch notes, it's mostly bug fixes and new content. They confirmed Ionia, Noxus, and Demacia Senate shows. Oh, cool. I didn't, know what they had confirmed. That's kind of sad that Shurima didn't make the list. So we mostly already know what's coming anyway. Yeah, that part, especially for this patch, I definitely agree with. We're waiting for the patch notes kind of just to see, but in general, it's like, okay, we know we're getting Viktor. They're going to do some stuff with the existing adventures. Are we going to get anything necessarily new other than that this patch? Like, are we going to get a new adventure? Are we going to get new relics? Maybe, but I kind of doubt it. The big consensus with it is it should have gotten a third season, especially with how much goes on each act. Feeling like its own thing could have been stretched out for another episode. Yeah. Incorrect, they confirmed they're exploring these 3 regions and also Bilgewater, but doesn't mean 3 to 4 shows. Okay, that sounds a little bit more right. But hands down, Echo always takes the spots of my favorite scenes in Arcane. Yeah, I really do like how they did Echo. His character overall, yeah, I thought it was really good. Am I the only one who didn't understand a thing in Season 2? I mean, there's all this magic and stuff happening, but couldn't follow the logic. I think that's mostly just you. Yeah, I didn't really have issues following it. For example, Noxus and Ionia might be in the same show. Yeah, if they did like the Noxious invasion of Ionia, that would be pretty fun. Just a bit disappointing because there's only one new champion coming to Path of Champions. Yes. But you can also try to look at it at the devs actually listening to the player base, because it seems like most of the player base really did not like the fact that the new champions coming out didn't have many new cards, didn't have voiceover, and didn't have level up animation. So they could have released the new champion this patch, but they saw the community feedback and like, all right, if this is what the community wants, we'll work on doing that. And so the reason we're not getting extra champions is that the devs are trying to listen to the community. So while it is a bit sad, there's a pretty decent reason for it. It would have been nice if they could have like brought in, if they had another champion ready of like one of the people that don't have a constellation and just swap them out. But considering there's such a small team, it's kind of surprising the amount of content we already get. So it kind of makes sense that they didn't have a whole nother champion just immediately ready to go and launch. Which, little sad, wish that was the case, but the only thing I really want is voice lines. I like the interactions. Yeah, the voice lines are great. I love that I've been playing this game for years, and I still keep finding voice lines that I've never heard before, and they're normally always a great time. Voice lines are pretty good, except for some champions that spam the exact same thing over and over again, like Misfortune's Laugh or Nico, but for a lot of champions, there's some pretty good interactions, especially when the enemy has a champion and then you play a specific champion. It's nice. Yeah, well, the issue, Vivi, is that whenever you have a big game, or even if you had like this relatively small, but you're going to have different parts of the player base that like different things. And so, yeah, you literally can't please everyone because people want two different things. I like her laugh. Misfortune, her laugh is fine, but the issue is if you play Misfortune with... Also, people refresh if you see the patch notes, put them in chat. If you play Misfortune with, like, Blade Rack, every single time you drop a new unit, she laughs because they're given Challenger, so she laughs. So when it's, like, the same laugh back to back a ton of times, that's when it gets bad. So her laugh by itself isn't a problem. I'm not done with you. For me, I actually really like that for Mordekaiser. Even that one going multiple times, I'm actually fine with that one. What was I so afraid of? Yeah, that's... Some champions do spam the same ones, but like for Lilia, I actually really like her voice. And most of her voice lines, I think it's really cute. I love the accent. So... that one I'm actually generally fine with. But yeah, she does kind of spam the same ones a lot. Any tips for the fiddle with P and Z? Potentially use Viktor and use his champion spell that puts more cards in your deck. In general, with fiddlesticks, it's just how you want to be playing. So... you want to try to go for anything that can put more cards in your deck. So going for Counterfeit Production, for Counterfeit Copies, going for Grifter's Deck anytime you see it. That is really good. You generally don't want to cut cards, and you generally want to stay away from cards that are either giving you too much draw or giving you too many created cards in your hand. So you kind of want to stay away from Invoke, Manifest, that sort of thing. And you just want to be very careful with the cards you're picking up, the cards you're deciding to cut or not. For PNZ, you can go for a champion like Jinx, but you might not want to go for her normal relic with like Loose Cannon's Payload, because you probably won't be able to end the first turn. And then since you've created so many cards, it's just going to mill your entire deck. If you are going to go for Jinx, you might want to go for the not stacked deck. It's the power when you draw an extra card and it's fleeting, and then all your fleeting cards are shuffled back into your deck. So that is also something you do to try to help you. Caitlyn is actually really good for the adventure. If you have Caitlyn... wrong one. If you have Caitlyn and you have her like pretty high up there, she's probably the easiest P and Z to go for against Fiddlesticks. Caitlyn is actually really, really good. This was the person I used to clear it for my 6.5. Patch notes really not drop? Sad. So yeah, they're potentially going to start releasing the patch notes, I guess maybe at, well, what's 2 p.m. for me every day, which is also kind of the... Actually, no, I think the patch drops now. I used Echo and just kept creating cards in deck. Yeah, with Echo, you're going to have to be a little bit careful because sometimes you can draw or create too many cards in hand, which is what you kind of need to avoid. I missed the 6 p.m. patch drops. Yeah. Most of my PNZ are 4 stars without any paid relics. Give it another shot, though. Yeah, Caitlyn can be pretty solid for it. I think it's probably going to drop in an hour, which is a bit rough. Yeah, a little bit sad. Us and EU get both patch notes and the patch itself in the evening. Yeah, mine, since I'm NA and Eastern, it's just in the afternoon. All right, I think instead of buying time for an hour, I think we'll just do a video covering the patch notes once they actually drop. I think the patch notes might drop in another hour. I think last time, if I remember what Lope said, they're going to try to do the patch notes every time at the same time now. I think they're going to start doing it at an hour from now, which is 2 p.m. my time. So I think I'll just end it there. I'll do a patch notes video as soon as it comes out, and then I'll be up on YouTube shortly after. But in the patch notes, we're probably not really getting too much than we already know for now. Viktor's coming. They'll probably be updating and potentially adding more rewards for some of these adventures. And that's probably going to be it. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they have some extra content in there. But we'll kind of have to see. But thank you for hanging out with me. We'll be back here tomorrow to play... Well, I was going to say everything in the new patch, but it's pretty much just going to be Viktor. But yeah, we'll be streaming a ton this week, testing out everything for Viktor. Anyways, yeah, thank you for hanging out. Hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya.